In this example, we're going to write a function called countspaces, and it's going to take a string as input or as a parameter and an int, which will be the length of the string, and this will be our forward declaration. We'll create a symbolic constant for the length, and that'll be 100. We'll use this when we declare the string and so forth, but we don't want to necessarily use the symbolic constant in our function because we want our function to work with any string. So here we'll declare our string, and let's go ahead and define our function. So this is going to count the number of spaces, and as a reminder, when we pass an array as a parameter, we don't get the size of the array, so we're going to pass that as a parameter. We're going to initialize the count to 0, and we're going to return that value. So now, and you may say, well, why is the size of the string unknown? Well, the length is just some length, but the string ends when we get to the null terminator. So we're going to check that the index is less than the length passed in as a parameter, and that we haven't seen the null terminator. So let's create an index. We'll initialize that to 0. And while index is less than the length that was passed in as a parameter, and while the character at index in the string is not equal to the null character, if the string at character index is a space, we're going to increment the count. No matter what, we're going to increment the index, and we'll return the count when we're done. So that should be sufficient for our function. Now let's write some test code. And we're going to prompt the user to enter a string. Then we're going to read that from input. Now we've seen scanf before, but scanf has some problems. A better solution is fgets. So we're going to read into that array. We're going to read whatever number of characters len is. So len was set to 100, so we're going to read 100 characters, and we're going to read from the standard input. And we're only going to read up to len characters. Let's print the string. And we'll print how many spaces it has. And remember, we don't have to put variables here. We can also put any expression. So we'll call our countspaces function here with str and len is the max length. And that should complete our code. And looks like we have some bugs. So line 14, there's some problems. it looks like just the extra parentheses. We have an undefined reference to count spaces because we mistyped it here. Okay, so we called it the same thing all the way through, so now this should work. Nope, still. It must not have saved, yeah. So now we run our code. Let's enter a string. It has 3 spaces. One thing nice about Linux is I can select code and then hit the middle mouse button or press the mouse wheel depending, and it'll do a copy and paste for me. So we have 13 spaces there. And so you can see that my string is all of this, and then it prints out what my string is. Notice if we plug this in, this would probably be 99 characters would be my guess. So if I look, this is character 99. So it read in 99 characters, even though our length we said to read in 100, because it has to have room for the null terminator at the end.